All right, what's going on, everyone? I want to talk about a couple things in this video. I want to start out with the future will be. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take humanity, if humanity ever does catch up on what I'm saying here, but the future will be discipline and limitation. Discipline and limitation. And what do I mean by this? Today, we have way too many things that are just right there for us. You know, an example of music. You need a loop? Here's a loop. You need some chords to play? Here's my chord pack. Uh, do you need a drum rhythm? Here's a drum rhythm. Do you need a melody? Here's a melody for you. You don't have to do all those old time things that they did. Remember the days when you'd be in the studio and you'd be sitting there for hours trying to make a track and you would get so discouraged that you would rip out your hair? Well, just get my drum pack for $100, $99.99, and I have every chord that you can ever think of. To me, this is an abomination of the arts. This is an abomination, folks. This is an abomination to humanity and experimentation and experiencing things for yourself. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit here, but I want to explain this. This is something that George Carlin said to everybody. He said, soon enough, there's going to be something that scratches your balls and makes pancakes for you. This is what I mean by limiting ourselves. We have got to start limiting ourselves in certain areas. We have got to start disciplining ourselves in certain areas in life. You see, this is what is causing a lot of our problems, so many problems, is that everything is just right there. It's too easy. There's nothing that you have to do in order to make something of something anymore. And I know for me, anytime that I make something artistically, musically, writing, I always start from scratch. I always start from the bottom because I want to experiment with my art and my craft. I don't want to already have it there because then what is it? It's copying, it's emulating, it's taking somebody else's thing and doing something a little different and then calling it your own. To me, it's plagiarism. There's a lot of plagiarizing going on today in the form of let's make it easy for you. Because if we don't make it easy for you, it's hard for you and it's hard on you. Oh, poor me. It's so hard for me and I need it to be easy. Excuse me. I'm a little sick. I got a sore throat. I've been under the weather a little here. That's why I haven't been doing videos. But yeah, this to me is an abomination of what it is to be human. This takes away the human element of art. And another thing that I want to talk about. No invention has ever come from thought alone. No invention has never come from thought alone. Every invention that we know of has come from experimenting and experiencing what we're experimenting with. You know, people that like Michael Jackson, the song Thriller, came from experimentation. They were in the studio experimenting with things. Amazing Grace came from a time where people were in agony. People thought everything was lost. It was a time where Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, and now I'm found. Thank God that I can see. You see, this was human. This was in the moment of a human happening. It wasn't just right there for them. Like, oh, here's this song that I have for you to sing. So sing it. It's easy. You don't have to go through any trials and tribulations. You don't have to suffer at all. It's just, we have this machine that'll scratch your balls and make pancakes for you. Now we have these pens that when you write, it draws a picture for you, and you can get it for $79.99 at a low price of $80. You can get it. If this keeps going like this, we are not going to have any more inventors. We are not going to have any more people that we call geniuses. And this is another thing. If you don't know what genius means, a genius is a person that knows a lot of things, a person that has experimented with a lot of things, has researched into a lot of things, that has gone through a lot of different situations in their life. That's what a genius is. These guys that we call geniuses, most of them, I'm not saying every single one of them, because I do call myself a genius, and I will tell you why I call myself a genius. Because I can think things in my head that are there, and I can put it down. You know, these things just come to me. Sounds just come to me. Melodies just come to me. Orchestral stuff, atmospheric stuff, like a symphony in my head. I can be sitting here dozing off, and I can just have melodies come to my head. I can just have drum rhythms and sounds and soundscapes and orchestral stuff and just everything music and writing and everything coming to my head. And it's kind of like Matthew Hoffman, but I'm not like Matthew Hoffman. I don't sit here and go 4 times 4 equals 16, 16 turn 32 and then to the prime and then go to space and then we go, I don't do that. But my mind is always going with artistical things. It hardly ever stops. There are times where it slows down and it almost comes to a halt. But most of the time, I can't help that this is going on. And this is why I call myself, I don't know if I'm autistic. I don't know, but I call myself, I say that I might have autism because I can't stop thinking of things and I can't stop experimenting with things. I can't stop writing. I can't stop making music. I can't stop looking up videos and learning things. I can't stop. Like my mind won't stop. I'm obsessed. And I'm glad that I'm obsessed. I'm glad that I'm obsessed. I look forward to these obsessions with the art and stuff. But I know there are very few people that see. Here's what we do today. Everybody is trying to come up with ideas and thoughts to say, I have an idea. I have a thought going on in my head. See, there are very few people that they need tools to do what they do. They need to experiment with things in order to do things. Now, excuse me, sometimes I don't need to do that myself. I can just have something on my mind, and then the tool helps me to put it down. The tool helps me to write what I'm thinking. The pen helps me to write on the paper. The music gear helps me to put the music down. But I can't put exactly down what's going on in my head. That's impossible. That's an impossibility. But, excuse me. I think we think way too much today of ideas and thoughts and going off of what already is. And this is why there's not too many people that are experimenting and experiencing. There's not too many people that will, put their time and their money and their effort into using like a keyboard synth workstation, and they will put all of what they have into that tool. They will go at that tool like there is an ecosystem in there, like there's a galaxy in there. And that's what it is. These tools, these keyboards, these drum machines, these MPC ones, these digital audio workstation, these things are literally ecosystems and galaxies of sound and mathematics. See, what we don't understand, music and art is mathematics. It's like mathematical equations. It's like when you're doing a drum pattern and you have a kick that is hitting right on the 1/16th quantization and it's going boom, 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 boom. You don't want it to do that. See, someone like me, I know that you want it to be like boom, 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 and then a hi-hat. You don't want a hi-hat. Now, see, this is how some people think, though. They're just saying, okay, I want a hi-hat. I have an idea of a hi-hat. So they go, or, and it's one tone. It's one volume velocity instead of, or instead of that, somebody can go, see, that it's all mathematics. It all got to do with mathematics, patterns. It has nothing to do with ideas. It has nothing to do with thoughts. It has to do with experimenting with the tool that's there. And when you experiment with the tool that's there, this is when you discipline yourself to limit yourself to one tool, to a couple tools, not hundreds of tools. Like there's some people, they literally have like 12 keyboard workstations. Or there's people that have a ton of things and then they don't make anything because there's way too much stuff there. They're confused. They're like, I got to come up with ideas. What can I do with this one? Or maybe I need to use that instead of this. Well, the sound might not be with that one what I need with this one. It's like, look, get one thing. Get one serious thing that you can do your craft with. Get one serious piece of equipment. Like myself, I have something coming right now that I'm making down payments on for a long period of time because I can't afford to pay it. But I got something that I'm going to be making music on if I keep it, and I'm going to be focusing on that thing. That thing, I'm going to be diving deep into it, and I'm going to be experimenting with it. And I'm going to show people what you can do when you experiment with stuff like this. Now, I haven't been putting out, like on this channel, I have not been putting out what I want to put out on here because I have been letting fear take over my life in a lot of areas. And I'm learning myself to not do that because the only thing to fear is fear itself. The only thing that is in fear is myself. I'm in fear of myself, and I realize there's nothing to be in fear of. There is no reason to be in fear. And see, this is where a lot of this comes from, is because people are scared. They're in fear to limit themselves. They are scared to only use one thing. They are scared to limit themselves, and then they have to discipline themselves. And most people don't want to do this. They don't want to discipline themselves. They don't want to limit themselves because they think if I don't have all of this stuff, then I'm not going to make anything. See, you're still going by ideas and thoughts. You're not going by experimentation. You're not going by from scratch experimentation from the bottom up. You have to start from the very, very bottom. This is what nobody wants to do today, though. Everybody just wants everything right there. Oh, I can't think of anything. See, I can't think of anything. So let me go and grab a bunch of loops. Let me go and grab a bunch of rhythms and patterns and melodies, and let me go get Nexus or something that has thousands and thousands, like 8,000 some sounds. You're never going to make something thinking that you need more and more. I'm telling you, the less that you have with certain things. When I had this Roland JDXI over here, I have beats on there. I have 200 some beats saved in there that that nobody even ever heard, that I have sitting on that thing. And I made some of the best patterns that I have ever made on that little machine, because I was limited to one drum track, to one analog, and two digital synths. So that's 4 tracks. I had 4 tracks with the drums. So you can have a couple tracks with the drums. You can have more than just one track with the drums, but it's all on one track. If you mute that track, then it mutes all the drums. But I think the way that we're looking at this, we are going about this in a completely blind manner. We're not really seeing what it is that we're actually doing when we're saying, I gotta try to come up with ideas. We need more ideas. We need to think more. You see, thought is the most destructive thing there is. Thought is destructive. You don't go by thought. Go by experimentation. Go by what you feel. Go by your gut feeling. Go by a sense of your own energy that you have, and play with it. You have to be willing to play with it. See, nobody's willing to just sit there and tap on the pads. Nobody's willing to just sit there and play with the keyboard for an hour or two and pick out different sounds and just go through it over and over again and get it until you have something that you're like, I'm feeling this. This is it. I know for me this is it. See, a lot of people are not willing to do that. They just want it right then and there. They don't want to put in any kind of time to make something quality. They just want quantity, 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 quantity. I got to make more. I have to have people hearing more stuff. For me, it's about both. It's about quality and quantity, but for me, it's more about quality. If it doesn't sound right, if it's not something that I myself am vibing to or feeling or saying, wow, that's something else. You know, there's nothing else like this. And see, this is how I'm always thinking for myself as I'm experimenting with things. I'm always telling myself, there is nobody that's going to do what I'm doing. There is nobody that's going to write what I write. There is nobody that is going to do a video like me. There is nobody that's going to sound like me on a keyboard. There is nobody that can imitate me. There is nobody that can plagiarize me. But most of us, we're thinking of doing these things. We're not saying, well, this is what I can do. This is my gut feeling. This is what I liked to do. And we're going by this like worldly standard of how it should sound. And this is why I say, if you're somebody that is thinking or trying to make it something, then you know right there you've already lost, because you're thinking of how to make it a certain way for someone else. You're thinking, how can it be a part of the agenda? How can it be something popular? How can it sound like something else? And this is what so many people are doing. I mean, a ton of people are doing this all the time. I see it on so many platforms, and the human element is not there. It's just nobody is disciplined. Nobody limits themselves. Everybody just wants more, more, and more. If I have more, I'll make more. And they don't know how to say, okay, let me just work with this and experiment with this and see what happens with this. And this is why I highly doubt. See, how I see it today, we are improving with some things in this world, but how I see it, we are going steps back. We're getting dumber, we're getting stupider, we're copying more, we're plagiarizing more. We are doing what has already been done, and then we're doing something similar to other people. Don't even do anything similar. Say, I want to do something that nobody else has ever done. That's how I'm always thinking for myself. I want to do what nobody has ever done, but I still want to be genuine to myself. I still want to be unique with me. I still want it to be my thing. I'm not trying to be like somebody else. I'm not trying to sound like another person. And this is what this worldly kind of way got us thinking, is that, well, if it's not something popular, if it's not something that is living up to the standards of what the industry wants, this is what the abomination is. This is what is destroying the very fabric of art and music itself. There's something that Rick Rubin said. He said, when you make music, you can't have someone else in mind. It has to be coming from you. Because if you have someone else in mind or something else in mind, then you're trying to prove something to them. You're not going by your gut. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to have some vision in your mind of something while you're making a beat or something. See, it's really hard to discern what I'm saying here to us as a whole, as artists, as musicians. And to me, I really can't even see most people as musicians or artists, because I see their creative, I see their process. And for me to say the word creative is very hard, because I see most people, they have a process that they go by. They don't just let it happen as it happens. They don't just go by their gut instinct. They don't just experiment and say, okay, a clean slate. Let's start completely over from scratch. Now let's experiment. Here's the buttons. Let me tap the buttons. Here's the keyboard. Let me make my own melody. Let me whistle something, or just keep experimenting with it over and over. And when you discipline yourself to do that, when you discipline yourself to limit yourself to what you have in front of you, instead of going on the internet, going on, FL Studio and using the drum roll and copy and pasting loops and all this stuff, you're never going to make your own thing. It's always going to be something else. It's always going to be something that was already made by somebody else. It's always going to be like this hand-me-down, but not with clothes. It's not like giving somebody clothes that needs clothes. We're talking about art and creativity here. There is no art or creativity if it's not coming from the person itself. You see? And I really think that this whole thing has become infiltrated. Social media, this is the bad side of social media. This is the side of social media that I am at odds with, is that this whole emulating, copying, trying to be like, I have to fit in here. If you have someone else in mind for your music, then you're not making it for you. You're making it to try to appease them. Now, I'm not saying that I don't ever have somebody else in mind when I'm like a place or a thing in my mind, like some picture or a river or space or a planet or something. I'm not saying that I don't have pictures in my mind as I'm making stuff, but I'm never doing it to say, what will they think of it? Will they approve of it, or won't they approve of it? Will they like it, or won't they like it? The thing is, do you like it? Do you actually want to do it? You see, if you don't want to do it, and it's not something coming from your gut, like an instinct, then I'd say don't do it at all. I'd say don't do it at all, because if it's not about that, then what is it about? What is it about then? If it's not about, this is what I want to make, this is my gut feeling, this is how I feel about it. You see, this is my experimentation. This is my in the now moment that you might be seeing 10 minutes, an hour, a day, a week later, but I did it in real time here. This is why I love real time recording, because I don't have to edit my videos. I don't have to stop my videos so that I can speed it up for somebody. That's just, to me, that's kind of stupid. I mean, channels that do that, whatever, that's what they do, but it's not what I like doing. I like pressing record and letting it play. I like getting on something and just experimenting with it, because how am I ever going to invent something if I'm not experimenting? If I'm not experiencing what I'm experimenting with, how am I ever going to invent anything? How am I ever going to do something that has never been done before if I'm copying and pasting? If I'm taking a rhythm from somebody else that somebody else made, or and I know a lot of people, they think of this differently. They think, oh, well, you can make something by taking other loops and stuff. I'm not saying that you can't put something together, but what I'm saying is it's not experimentation then. You're taking clips of something that has already been done, and you're putting it into a project. You're putting it on a clean slate. You're basically putting an element that has already been put down, and you're putting it on another thing. To me, it ain't like you're just starting from scratch, starting from a clean slate and putting it down. I see art as two different ways. We're either trying to make art and we're attempting to look like something and fit into some agenda or something popular or something like that, or we're doing it because it's our humanity. We're putting our humanity in it. We're putting the very essence of what is happening right here and right now into it, like I'm doing with this microphone. And I don't sense a lot of this energy online. I don't find a lot of this kind of energy where people just press record and talk about something and they actually get for real. Like they get to the root of the thing, the thing, the thing, the thing. It's like it's always a bunch of pussyfooting around, or saying, well, this guy sounds like this, so I'm going to try to be similar to what he sounds like. See, to me, you already lost. You've already given up on yourself. You've already said, well, I can't do it, so I have to do it how another person does it. I know for me that I have made some of the best art and music when I was limited, when I disciplined myself to just use one thing at a time. Because if I have too many things around me at one time, then you're thinking, oh, well, does this sound better than this? Should I use this instead of this? Well, what if I use this and then I need to use that? Well, what if this doesn't record onto this? What if this doesn't have a MIDI through? And this is confusing people. It's adding on this pressure thing. It's adding on this thing that is not allowing you to just be in the moment and make something that is right in front of you. You can make something happen with literally a drum machine that has Mario sounds on it. You can make something happen. I know, because I did it before. I had people that wanted to buy my beats. I had two people that wanted to buy my beats back in 2001, when I was like 15 or 16 years old, off of a $300 drum machine called a Zoom RT323 see-through blue. And this thing, it had okay drum sounds, but the synthesizer sounds were not that great at all. They were like, real cheesy Mario, wobbly synthy, they just were not good. But I had two people offer me money for my beats even back then. And see, I knew for myself that it was something that nobody else was doing, because I put me into that thing. But back then, I said, well, I didn't really know about too much of this. So I said, well, no, I'm not going to give you the beat. But maybe if I would have did that, It would have been completely different for me if I would have just put out something and just went for it back then. But see, even back then, I was scared. I was living in fear. I was still going by what everybody else thought. I was still going by the world thought, the world's thought and thinking that if I do this, they're going to think this. If I give you this, you might do this and all this stuff. And it's like the artist is somebody that, see, this is why I do not like collaborating. This is why I do not like collaborating with other artists, because I know most people, they will be trying to make something that fits into the mold of the industry or the agenda or what's popular. And what they will talk about is things like that. I say, can you really just talk about what you're really feeling, what you're really thinking about, what you really in the moment is going on? Can we really do that? Can we really, really do that? This is what I wonder. Like, even me sitting here recording this video, it feels awkward, but that awkwardness is what makes it human. That awkwardness is what makes it like nothing else. I'm not trying to make it something. I'm not trying to sound any way for people. I'm not trying to be any way for anybody. You see? And I think when we see this, there will be some kind of paradigm shift in the way that we see everything. Because most people, I don't even think, see this. I don't even think they realize what they're doing as they go into what it is that they're going into. It's not something you go into with. You just say, okay, I feel this and I want to do this, so let me start doing it. And then I start tapping away. I start doing what I'm doing. I don't go into it thinking, okay, what's the BPM going to be? Is this going to be a rock beat? Is this going to be a hip hop beat? Is this going to be some kind of trap beat? Is this going to be some kind of R&B beat? I never go into it like that. I never ever make music like that. If I'm feeling a certain way, then I will put that energy into what it is that I'm doing, what I'm experimenting with. So yet again, remember this. No invention has ever come from thought alone. Never. You can't show the tool anything. It shows you. The tools are what are showing it. See, I can't show you what's up here. I can only put it down with the tools that I have. Nobody can ever see what's going on in your mind and thinking. See, I can't do that. I wish I could. If I could do that, I don't even know. It would be crazy if I could take this and just put it out onto a board with sound and people could see it. Without action and experimentation, there is no invention. It isn't going to come in any other way than experimentation, than with experimentation. And this is another thing. Without action and experimentation, there is no invention. Remember that. Nothing has ever been made that has not known elements. See, these people that we call inventors, what they did is they took known elements and they experimented with known elements to make it something else. They never just said, oh, I have this thought that this is going to do this. That never happened. Thomas Edison had to use like 4,000 different things before he got the right material for it to spark. And even he took experiments from other people to do what he did. He didn't just think it's gonna be this and it happened. It came from experimenting and experiencing what they were experimenting with. That's what it comes from. It doesn't come from thought alone. The tool, there has to be the tool there for the craft to be known, to be seen. And I just tell people, it's like, if you're really serious about your craft, if you're really serious about your life and your art, quit going online to get shit. I noticed that online is like a shit show. It's buy what you need for yourself and use that thing to your advantage. Don't go where the easy thing is. Don't go where there's no discipline, where there's no limitation at all, because yet again, you're going to become lazier. You're going to become more like, I'm not really feeling this. I don't like this. This isn't me. I'm taking this from somebody else. I can't feel like that for myself. I have to be the one that's doing it. I have to be the one that's making it. And really, I would tell people it's really not even me making this stuff. I don't even know where this stuff comes from. And that's why I say it's God, because God equals everything to me. And all this comes from everything. It's coming from, whatever's going on in my head and my mind. I'm not really doing nothing. All this is just coming from somewhere. I can't give myself any credit or glory for any of this stuff. That's why I say I give the credit and glory to God, my God consciousness, because there's something that is doing this besides me, the construct of me. See, there is no me and you once you really understand understanding itself. There is no me and you. It's just the body. It's the body and everything around that's doing what it's doing. Everything is doing something but me. And I just think if we come to this kind of understanding, and it's not even a kind of understanding, if we come to understanding and knowledge itself, we can break these things down and say, okay, this is what it is and this is what it isn't. I did that before, so I don't want to do this again. And you get to this point where you say, okay, let it all go. Start from complete scratch, wipe the slate clean. I don't have to try to be anything. I'm just experimenting because I want to experiment. I'm bored, so I want to experiment with something. I want to make something that nobody else made. But if you're not thinking this, then you're never going to put it down, because from the thinking comes the experimentation. But the thought does not make the invention. You understand? The thought does not make the invention. It's putting it into action. It's experimenting with the thing. Nothing's ever going to happen with ideas and thought. It's never going to happen. It's never going to come. It's going to be the same thing every day. If you're saying, I have an idea for this, I thought this the other day. No, are you acting out on it? Are you actually experimenting and putting it down? That's when something's going to come about from it. And the more that we go on, there's going to be less people that we can call a genius, because there's going to be no more geniuses. There's going to be no more people figuring things out for themselves and experimenting with things. Everything's just going to be there. Everything's just going to scratch your balls and make pancakes for you. Loops, drum rhythms, all that stuff will just be right there. They'll have plugins where you can press one button and it'll play a beat for you. And they'll sell it to you for $199.99 and say, you can't make beats? You're not a musician? Well, don't worry. For $199.99, you can press one button and you can have a whole orchestra at your fingertips. Abomination. This is an abomination of the arts, an abomination. And people that are doing this are the people that are ignorant. They don't realize that they are destroying humanity itself. They are literally... They're trying to look like something. They're trying to be something to fit into an agenda or the mold of some kind of industry. Fuck the industry. You and I do not need the industry. We have channels, we have microphones and phones, and we have synthesizers, and we have recorders, and we have things that we can use. We don't need the industry, people. We don't need them. We have us. We have us here. We don't need these people. Don't you see that's where the corruption is? That's where you're going to get robbed. That's where they're looking for people to do this for them so they can make money. You don't need these people to do what you do. You have a platform that you can start as an individual. When I hear the word industry, it's not even on my mind. I don't even have the word industry, even though I'm saying it. I don't sit here and think of the industry, what's popular, the agenda. Like, even though I say these things because I know what other people are on, I'm not on that. I know what that is. And I know that there's nothing there for you. There's absolutely nothing there for you and I. It's a dead end road that leads to you seeing that that was not where you should have went the whole time, and it was with you the whole time. You are the person that does it. So anyway, I went on a little too long here, but yeah, I wanted to get my point across here because this is something to me that is very important to someone like me, because I see like everything is just so set up. Everything is just so predetermined. Everything is like a manual on how to do it. There is no manual for living. There is no manual for life. Life is for living. Are we living life? Are we experimenting with life? Are we experiencing life by what we're experimenting with? Or are we going to the internet to find something from somebody that is doing something and offering it to you that you can sound like this and you don't have to do anything for yourself? You can sound like Mariah Carey if you sing into this microphone. You don't have to do anything to make your voice that way. It's just already there. All you have to do is sing into this mic and you will have those, +3 octaves like her. It's an abomination, man. It's a complete abomination. It absolutely destroys the epitome of what makes us human, of having something unique, of having something that is something to be inspired by, to make us do something that we would do that's different. You see, there's hardly any different inspiration today. To me, it's just this old concept, this plagiarizing, copy paste thing that people are putting out over and over and over, and they're selling it to people, and people are buying it because they're lazy. They're not disciplined. They don't know how to limit themselves. They don't know how to be an artist, a musician. They're trying to be that for some reason. So either be it or don't be it. That's how I see it. And I don't care if you think that you sound horrible. Did you do what you wanted to do? Was it something you wanted to do? You see what I'm saying? People just don't know how to say, well, look, this is what I'm doing. Even if I sound this way for a period of time, I had to start from the beginning too. I had to start from nothing. Nothing at all. I started from a drum machine back in like 2001 when I was 15 or 16 years old. I started from a $300 drum machine with only 323 sounds on it. And I made something out of it because I made it work. So anyway, it's just something to think about. I just get everything just seems so plasticky. Everything just seems so fake, phony, already set up, already, thought of. What has to sound this way. I got to edit the video to make it pertain to this audience. And if it's not going fast enough, then they're not going to watch the video. If it's not sped up and I'm not editing to where when I take a pause, like people can't wait a millisecond to take a little break in between words so that you can have that little bit of silence in between. That's what makes it the thing. You see, do you feel that? Do you feel that energy as you're just pausing in between? And this is what Osho's really good at, is speaking and then pausing. And then he speaks again. And it's kind of like a meditation for people. It's kind of like prayer in a sense. So anyway, y'all, If you know that you're not being real with yourself, don't do it at all. Don't even do it at all if you know you're not being real. I don't care if it hurts. I don't care if it's something that nobody else is doing. I don't care if it's the most different thing and nobody likes it. If it's not something that you did because it's you, I wouldn't do it at all. I wouldn't even do it. I really wouldn't. So that's just for me. I don't know. So glory to God, glory to everything, because everything is always doing something. I'm not doing anything. There isn't even no Nate anymore. I'm just going by whatever comes. I'm just letting it come how it comes. So that's what it is. So later on, I'll talk with y'all. Thanks for watching. I appreciate any support, and take it easy. Take care of yourselves. Later.